Thursday, the 1st of October. Welcome, friends, relations, and others tuning in to the Tomcast. Yesterday was fun. We had a conversation about what's going on with debates and stuff, but today we're going to get back to drawing. I wanted to draw yesterday, and we're loading up the same image I had in the background. So if you were there yesterday, welcome back. And if you're new to the channel, welcome to you. Thanks for tuning in. I love doing this. This has been a fun activity during COVID to share my process with you, and you inspire me to do some work, which is good. It's been really hard during this time. People are depressed, people are alone. COVID is a problem that we found hard to fight together. Unlike things in the past, dealing with a pandemic is something that our human tendencies to huddle up and work together as a group do not help us solve the situation. It is a part of nature that we are not yet adapted well to. Well, welcome, welcome, welcome. What are we doing today? I'm refining. This character has no eyeballs yet because I am repainting them. Part of the drawing process is the self-critique. This is what it used to look like, and I thought this drawing, which was out of my head, came out a little goofier than what I wanted. It looks a little crazed, a little confused. His eyes didn't really make a lot of sense, and I just thought I took a break from this drawing and worked on another one from reference. So this was every single drawing I do takes me to some place else. And my friend Eliezer, who just joined the chat, is one of those people that takes me someplace else. So surround yourself with people who take you to a better place, to a better land. America, a better land. Anyway, sorry, Native Americans. It was good land too then. But anyway, let's go. Let's go draw. Let's not get into the weeds. L's here. Thank you, L. What's up, bread man? Welcome to the Tomcast. We're going to get back to drawing today, and Tom's going to put his foot in his mouth at least 3 times. Already happened once. I'm trying to refine this drawing. Every drawing I'm doing is teaching me something and is exposing me to something new that I didn't think I could do before, which has been really fun. I'm going to look back on 2020 and see it as a pivotal year for me, particularly for YouTube people who are tuning in right now, and for everyone else who's tuned in and given me positive comments and kudos. I'll say to you all that sharing is a great experience. It makes me feel good about myself, and I hope that I am inspiring you all to be more creative and to share in a verbal or video format. That's the number one lesson for this year for me is when I type stuff, it gets lost in context. Verbal communication is what's up. But more importantly for my artists out there, visual communication is a universal language, at least to those people with eyesight, whose eyes work and visuals work. A drawing that's done really well or a painting that's done really well can be interpreted by 7 billion people around the world. So that's pretty darn cool. Pretty darn cool. I think it's also why I am not as good with writing as some of my peers, is because I think visually first and language second, and then Spanish maybe 20th L. Hablo español. I love the sound of foreign languages, though I don't have the patience to learn them. So let's talk about some things that I've been learning. It's hard to talk and search through windows at the same time. Let's do a really quick year in review. Really quick year in review. I believe it started out with working on a landscape for Sean. Let's see if I have that somewhere here. This was the Valley of Plenty cover for one of his gaming books. This was fun, out of my head, kind of like Civilization stuff I have done in the past. This was cool. Let's go to the drawing for L was a ton of fun. The Ponce de Leon thing, that was a ton of fun. That got me working in more color. So doing these requests for different people have given me different exposures to things. I got into drawing some rifles for friends. This is the photo reference I took, And then this is the painting I did of that photo reference. And by studying and drawing from life, I realized that I can intuitively like crank up color, and even photos that are taken with a very cheap flash can end up turning into beautiful paintings based on the interpretation, the impressionism of it. Thank you, L. L says, say. I think that's yes, right? Right? In Spanish? So this was something I learned a lot about. I said, oh, if I just take my time and chill out and focus and get rid of distractions, I can render pretty decent stuff if I just put my mind to it. In art school, I was always trying to rush to get to a new place, to get into the career, and I wasn't really thinking so much about what I was doing at the time. I have to thank my 3D animation professor, Rich Lipsher, who really tried to dive into what I was doing as an artist. One of the best professors I had, and that position, best professor I had in art school, probably has to go to also Susan Waters Eller and illusionism, because without her tutelage on refining drawings, I wouldn't have refined art. I didn't know how to get there. Other teachers were trying, but I wasn't seeing the actual process. It was Susan Waters Eller to do that. Oh, say means I know. Something like that. Thank you. Spanish lesson going on in the chat right now. Thanks, guys, for tuning in, hanging out. Very excited to share with you today. Then did some 3D stuff, got a commission there. That was a lot of fun. Then Mike Legrand had this idea for Baltimore, and we just did some really quick refinements. Heads up for fans of the Baltimore. We're trying to work on some new opportunities marketing it. So we made a small change. We now have Edgar Allan Poe riding the dragon, ladies and gentlemen. This could be what you see in the future, because we did not want to get into legal trouble with the Utz and Natty Poe branding. That's going to be something that I'm going to be getting in trouble with probably, or learning about as this goes on. But getting Edgar Allan Poe driving a dragon was a ton of fun. That's going to probably be the next line of prints down the road. So what did this drawing in general teach? Let's go back to the earlier version of the Baltimore drawing. This was a ton of fun. This was a lot of kudos. I was glad to, in a way, give back to the city that I've lived around in college, at least, and visited and do my drinking in for the most part in my 20s and young 30s. I don't get down there as much anymore. But Baltimore definitely has character and a funky sense of charm. So doing this piece with Legrand, I learned a lot about refinement. That having time to spend on something, you add more details, you add more details, you add more details, and sometimes you just need to find a little nugget that you get excited about that raises that bar, and then all the other bars can become raised once you've set that standard for yourself. And I think in the case of this drawing, what set a standard was getting excited about this background character I invented, the Baltimore B&O Railroad Train Man. And then I wanted to refine that, but then the rest of the drawing didn't have the same resolution, so I had to keep going back around and adding more and more and more and more detail, grabbing reference and stuff. Just drawing the crane, I think, was a critical part of that process too, getting into the nitty-gritty details of how the different girders and steel structure worked made me want to refine that, but then everything else came up. And then I got excited about the signs and started adding more detail there. And then you zoom out, and you're like, okay, I need to edit all these other things because it's not the same level of refinement. So if this sign is really refined, well, then I have to come over to this side and refine that side. So I'm refining, 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 refining. And someone who helped out on this project was Hawkeye Dan Halka, who is an art director over at Big Huge, who gave me a lot of crucial feedback. So I want to send a shout out to Halka. If you watch, I don't know if you watch this, but thank you for those bits of feedback. He mostly had feedback about lightness, color, sharpness, kind of stuff like that. And I remember I was talking to another alumni buddy, former roommate of mine from Micah, Jay Gillen. Great artist. I love his drawings. I mean, he just released the game Halka, and Jay just released Arcane Showdown on Steam. You can check that out, Arcane Showdown. And then some of Jay's character, I think Jay was one of the lead character artists on that, and those characters are really cool. Jay's sketches that I've known since we were 18 and 19 have been rendered in these really interesting new monsters and stuff that are pretty dope. So good stuff. Congratulations to them for releasing on Steam, to Big Huge Games, and all those friends of mine over there. Got off the subject matter. Oh, but Jay was talking about how when I worked for Dan, I had a really hard time meeting his level of refinement. I was a rough to finish prototype artist at Firaxis. Let's get the rifle off of there and get back to the drawings. Um, rough to finish artist at Firaxis, so I like to get my idea out quickly so that we can start a conversation and then refine the idea through people looking at a drawing and talking about what's going on. As you might know, if you're working from home right now, the email chain, the chat chain doesn't really work very well. You got to get on a phone call and talk to people and hear what they're excited about, hear what they're stressed about. You can tell it in the tenor of their voice. Refine, refine, refine. It was hard for me to get up to speed with that level of refinement. I talked to Jay about it. Like, Jay, how do you work with Dan? He's so tight. He's so super tight. Pixel perfect tight. Do I have... It'll take me too long to find the work I did for Dan Halka. But Jay said, well, you know, it's annoying, but if you take your part to 11, someone else will take their part to 11, and then everybody takes all their parts of the project to 11, and then the game is at 11. Because, you know, think about it otherwise. Like, if you do a review of a video game or a piece of art, and like if one part's an 11, but other parts are like a 6 or a 7 or a 9, well, then the average is going to be like a 9 or an 8. It's not going to, you know, everything has to be immaculate. You're watching a movie. Let's say you're watching what's the greatest movie of all time? Aliens, greatest movie of all time. You got the imagery, you got the great actors, Sigourney Weaver, you got the amazing story, the amazing script, the best director of all time, James Cameron. I mean, that's debatable. The best visual director, I think, of all time, who has done more for heroic women in cinema. I think it's hard to argue with who has done more for putting women in heroic positions, and not fantastical positions too. Like, there's, I think, Captain Marvel, who's a really cool character and a really fun movie, but it's making a woman strong through magical powers, versus like the James Cameron is showing more realistic women who are making realistic decisions that more people can relate with. Sigourney Weaver, and the woman who played Sarah Connor, I'm forgetting her name, but just tough as nails and really, really inspiring. Reminds me of my own sisters a little bit. Love you, Rhonda and Molly. Much, much love. Miss you both. Where am I going with this? Well, I realized my drawings were starting to fall apart. Like, this face didn't seem good to me over here, so I thought for my next drawing in the series, I was going to use a reference picture from one of my friends and go back to fundamental portrait drawing. So that's when I got into this drawing, which is now a new level of this project. I spent more time trying to get the face of my friend Amber. Thanks for volunteering to let me use your face as a muse for this drawing. And her wonderful dog has now been transformed into a canine Shiba attack dog, research dog. I don't know, maybe not attack dog. Maybe it's just a battlefield cuddly friend who can find where the mushrooms are. Not really sure. Reconnaissance, doggo. But spending time getting the portraiture right, suddenly you get, once the face is right, then everything gets sucked into it. I'm talking to a student now who is admiring the work of John Singer Sargent, a beautiful painter who focuses a lot on the face and then has an impressionistic painterly style for the outfits, the relations and stuff. Go to the Metropolitan Museum of Art, see a John Singer Sargent painting in person, and you'll be super impressed. It's awesome to see that painting live. It'd be really cool to go back in time, or like have a 1890s mentality, before television, before, you know, NFL football, before LED screens that were 80 inches across, and see a painting like that. Like seeing a John Singer Sargent painting in I don't know, 1920. I don't know when he actually worked. I know it's a long time ago. It must have been super impressive. It must have just been, wow, like mind-blowing, like stained glass in a cathedral, seeing those kinds of paintings. Thanks for joining. Thanks for tuning in. If you're joining me now, appreciate you having me. We're going to get into drawing a little bit. We're talking about refinement, the refinement process of making work sing. getting it to the 11s. So once the face was done with enough time, then I wanted to put more time into the rest of the drawing. So that means refining the rifle, refining the making sure the pose is right, refining what the armor and straps, and making sure everything functions, and really thinking through every bit in the process. I haven't drawn any pet portraits before, ladies and gentlemen, so this was a bit of a struggle for me. And what do you do when you don't understand what you're drawing? Well, just draw what you see, right? So I just had to look at a lot of reference and try to force myself to get excited about, like, is there a tonal difference here? What is the photograph trying to tell me about this animal? What are the unique things? And just draw, draw, draw. I don't know that I got a proper portrait likeness of this specific pet, but it's better than what I would have done if I just did it off the top of my head. Hey, Savannah, welcome to the Tomcast. Nice to see you. Thanks for saying, hey, looking good. Hey. So I've dug myself a hole now. I've made a refined drawing. And by the way, this Sean Carpenter, who commissioned this series, this is I think he had a much more peasant expectation for this project based on the budget, and he supported me in the past, and I have time on my hands, so I'm going much more above and beyond with terms of time for this. So for people who will watch this stream now or later on YouTube or on Facebook later, I think it's very important 90% of the time to collect income for what you're doing. But in my specific case, I'm between jobs and I'm using this time as my sabbatical to develop a body of work. Now, I'm thinking about what is my new portfolio? What's my new presence going to be on ArtStation? What's up, Devin? Thanks for joining the Tomcast. Love having you. Drew's here. What's up, Drew? Yeah, baby. Glad to see the O'Hara brothers here. I really want to talk to your brother. I want to do I want to come visit and learn how to sharpen knives. That's what I really want to do. Shout out to the Art of Craftsmanship podcast and YouTube channel. Love those guys. So now I have this drawing that's refined, and I have another 4 pieces within this series that all need to be brought up to that level now. So that's going to be my goal for the rest of the next 2 weeks probably, and then I'm going to get back into some 3D work. So I have some drawings I like. This was taking me somewhere. The AT team with light coming through, trying to create some dynamic distance using fog and contrast. The sniper drawing has been a really complex assignment in textures and patterns. We have real nature combined with artificial camouflage, combined with making a character who's supposed to feel camouflage pop out against the background. And then the original thing that started, now this was the first drawing I did in the series, and it's now like very, very boring to me. So I'm going to have to come back and refine this and figure out how do I make this really exciting and sing. One of the lessons I had in art school is you got to tear up a piece sometime and start over. You got to kill your babies occasionally when it comes to art school. I saw a lot of crying. I did a little bit of crying when I was in Michael Economos's drawing 2 class and getting drawings just torn apart physically. I don't think he tore apart a drawing, but I definitely wanted to tear apart some of my own drawings. I had heard stories about Micah in like the 70s and 80s that artists would just like, this is terrible, rip it apart. But that's a good lesson. You learn and then go forward with it. I've heard ceramicists have a much better comprehension of that because part of the process is the firing process. If your fundamentals of clay working aren't sound, once you put that pot or teacup in the fire, then it could explode and you'll lose it. Speaking of pottery, I want to give a shout out to my high school peer, John Pizzoli, who has some really interesting live streams. It was really cool to see some of his firing process on Facebook Live, making some very interesting pottery. I don't consider myself a pottery fan. I know it's important, especially historically, talking about Greek Roman amphoras, and the Greek Roman art on these wine vessels is amazing. So shout out to Colin Campbell trying to do a Greek amphora style ceramic thing in college in my in our Joe Basile's Greek history class. Okay, let's get back to drawing. I've talked plenty. What am I doing today? I'm working on the Op 4 drawing I'm refining this from where it used to be. I've lightened the background a little bit, and I've changed some of the faces to make this feel less like flat, and I want to be more engaging. First thing was this is just something about this feels very comical compared to this. This feels realistic and maybe dynamic, a little bit romantic. I want to bring this drawing to there as well. Well, one, I don't think my poses are as strong in this drawing. I think I hustled through the pose a little bit to get to a group shot, which is fine, but I'm starting to piece part by part to make this a little bit more dynamic and interesting. So I've selected the head and I've copied it into a new layer, and I started painting over that. And this is the result so far. And also I looked at a photograph. I found just a random photograph of a dude at a festival, and I wanted to get some more specific details of someone. So let's paint in some eyeballs before this creeps out too many people. How do we get the person to look like they're looking at us? Well, if you just draw the irises in the middle of the eye, it's going to look like they're looking past you. You see how it's kind of looking at you, but mostly looking past us. The trick is to narrow them in a little bit. Devin says, how about a low orbit space station floating above them? That's actually a good idea, Devin. I'm going to write that down on the comms chat. Let's make a little note. That's a good idea. Add ISS thing. That's a good idea. I'm going to write. What else is in the chat? Savannah said, did they tell the 30 days, 30 pots story when you were at Micah? Yes. You know what? I don't know if I heard that story at Micah or afterwards. Savannah, for those who don't know, the 30 days, 30 pots is generally the story of a ceramic teacher gave two groups of students the assignment of, okay, which team is going to have the better pot in 30 days. One team, you're going to spend 30 days making one pot, and the other team is going to spend 1 day making a pot for 30 days. And the result is always the team that spends a day making a pot for 30 days will have broken their pots earlier and know what they're actually doing by the time that they actually deliver a product. Whereas the team that spent 30 days making one pot, that thing explodes in the fire and doesn't come out. Right. Devin says, camping under the shade of a spaceship. That's cool. Savannah says, I love the name. Tomcast, by the way. Yeah, it's something I can remember is one thing. I'm glad you appreciate it. All right. I got off track. I got off target. Let's get the eyes going on. Yeah, prototyping is important. I think having small successes and seeing if stuff works in the prototype phase is super, super important. And it's in game development why I feel so strongly about the early prototype team getting mechanics up is probably more important than your style. Like you need a mechanic first, and then you need a style, and then you build your level, your scope on your budget is what you can do. All right. So with the eyes, we're just going to narrow it in just a little bit. So I'm going to redraw this iris just in set just a little bit from what I was expecting. So let's check it. Let's zoom out. Is that a little cross-eyed? It might be a little cross-eyed. It's amazing how sensitive we humans are to the eyes. It's amazing. So let's check that. That's a little bit cross-eyed. This guy it's a little bewildered. So I'm seeing that the eye on the right is a little too inset. He's got that Jennifer Connelly want to make out with me kind of look going on. Jennifer Connelly, I love that. There's something very engaging about like when she's really interested, she's an actress, and when she's interested in a character in a love interest kind of way, she narrows her eye a little bit. I think she looks at the tip of the nose. I think that's the trick. If you don't want to look at someone's lips, because that's a very attractive thing to do. If your partner does that to you, you get really excited. If you want to fake that, you can look at the tip of the nose. Or if you're talking to somebody and you feel like it's too, I can't think of the word, too confrontational to look at them right in the eyes, that you can look between their eyes and it has the same kind of effect. So let's spend a little bit of time trial and error this character's eyes. I want this to be the more grizzled veteran too, so I might relax Maybe we'll make the irises a little bit bigger and more relaxed inside of here. So I'm gonna enlarge the size of the iris. Let's make it black for now, just so that we can see if it works. This is starting to feel very human with the dark pupils. Let's come down a little bit there. Surround the eyeballs by putting a little bit of shadow. The eye on the left looks like it's looking in too much, so we're just going to take a little bit of a lighter color and shrink the radius of that iris just a little bit. Zoom out. How does that feel? That feels like it's looking at the camera now. The right eye looks a little bigger than the left to me. The self-critique process is important. Let's get a little bit more light. Let's shrink down the size of the eyelids. Let's make the hood of the eye a little bit more tired and a little bit more smooth. Let's heavy up the bottom lid just a little bit. So these eyes feel actually pretty young to me compared to the age I wanted this character to be. What's something I can do to age the character? Well, as skin on a guy ages, it's going to start dropping. The effects of gravity start to pull on the actual flesh of the character. And ladies and gentlemen, 37 years on, I'm still waiting for my nose to drop. I'm still waiting for it to be straight out because I got a little ski jump going on here. I want that to come down just a little bit. I'm looking forward to Handsome Tom at 50 years old. I'm working out, ladies and gentlemen, every day on the elliptical. Let's go. Let's go. So let's take some of the flesh and drop it down just a little bit. I think we can give a little bit of light underneath of the eye, the iris. Let's see what this does. Let's experiment. Let's give and we're just going to drop that bottom eyelid down just a little bit more. Let's see how does that feel? Let's add a little bit more creases, a little bit more weathering, a little bit more wear. Let's bring the eyebrow down. The eyebrows are very expressive. This is kind of a plain looking expression. What do I want this character to be expressing? Maybe some curiosity. Let's just do like a one Sean Connery asymmetric eyebrow. That could be fun. Let's get a little light into the cornea. Is that what that's called? Or the iris? I'm not really sure. My eye anatomy is failing me. So just kind of droop the upper eyelid a little bit, and then give a little bit more under eyelid. Is it lower eyelid? What do you think, Elle? So let's make the nose drop a little bit more too. I think he still has a pretty young nose. So let's bring that down just a little bit more and obscure the nostrils. Let's bring that down. And maybe we can put some pock marks. I got terrible pores, ladies and gentlemen. Terrible pores. And I could use that Biore patch, and this guy probably could too. Let me give him one of my own details. I have an old chicken pock mark in my nose I know about. Let's give him that. It's a little crater. Might be kind of fun. Be fun. Just a little detail. Make him kind of unique. A couple marks on the nose. Maybe a couple, like a mole or something. Would that be fun? Yeah, that'd be kind of fun. Some skin tabs. I got these skin tabs on my eyes. They look terrible. I hate them. You know, you can get them treated with some acid, hydrochloroacetic acid at the doctor's office. Got a little scar on this guy. Got a little scar. Maybe we'll give him a little bit of a scar tissue on the chunk of his eyelid. That'd be interesting. And a little bit of shadow. Just treat every element like it's got a top, a foreground, and a bottom, and a side. Hey, Stephanie Murdoch's here. What's going on? Add more stress wrinkles, by the way. Eyebrows. Thanks, Steph. This is ironic. I was just talking about you this morning. That's really funny. Great minds think alike. I was talking to you with my friend Mike LeGrand about the Baltimore drawing and maybe doing a future Hamden Baltimore drawing. Might be kind of fun. Might be kind of fun. Hope you're doing well. I missed the skate park of Baltimore. Shout out to the skate park of Baltimore. Stephanie is a public servant and fundraiser and has done great things for the city. Great things for the city of Baltimore. One of the more positive people I know. Tony Hawk Foundation thought Stephanie was pretty cool and got a Stephanie organized a big donation for Skate Park of Baltimore. I was just showing that video like 2 hours ago. No, no joke. Just showing the opening ceremony to Skate Park of Baltimore to a friend of mine. Interesting. That's really, really well. Yeah, miss you too. I hope you guys are doing great. I want to see some of your man's music. I could use some more rockabilly in my life. God, I miss some Reverend Horton Heat. Remember Shindig? Oh, that was the coolest thing. Shindig was the Baltimore like rockabilly rock festival thing that only lasted 2 years. I loved Shindig. It was a little one-day festival. You got some great bands. Godsmack, Boss Tones was there, I think, one year. Dropkick Murphys, Gogo Bordello. God, it was fun. Such fun, such fun. Boy, I can't wait for live music again, ladies and gentlemen. I'm so excited. I was listening to the Rogan podcast last night, and he was talking about how Bert Kreischer is doing these stand-up shows in like movie theater lots. What are they called? Drive-in movie theaters? It's kind of interesting. I imagine that seeing a rock concert in your car won't have quite the same vibe. But what if it was like a car show and rock concert, and you could like VIP experience it in like a V8 Chevy Camaro, and it like rumbles along with the bass and the double drums and stuff? How cool would that be? Yeah, for sure. Stephanie says, miss dancing with my friends. Great memories with Stephanie seeing shows at the 930 Club. That was the coolest thing of all time. Stephanie won the human being lottery by getting a year's worth of concert tickets to the 930 Club back in like 2012, 10, something like that. We got to see some awesome shows. Jack White playing with Dead Weather. Oh my God, that was so cool. Got to see some DJ Dead Mouse in the 930 Club before he was doing like these gigantic arenas. That was cool. All right, we got saw Rat-a-tat. What's going on? Stephanie says, add more stress wrinkles, by the way, eyebrows. Stress wrinkles, is that on the sides? Is that on the outside here? Something like that? Something like that? Stephanie, I want to start I want to learn to skateboard. Part of my goal of losing weight is so that I can eventually ride a skateboard and ride a little mini ramp that you and I know about. A little secret mini ramp. You should go check in with that location. Dude would love to catch up. I don't know if you're riding mini ramps these days. Just got a Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2. I'm terrible at it. It's weird that that game makes you automatically go forward. I like the mechanic in the game Skate, where your character can get off the board and run up somewhere. I find it really unintuitive now. It's been 10 years since I played Tony Hawk 2, or more. 15 years since Tony Hawk 2 came out. I was a freshman in college playing Tony Hawk 2, the demo on a PC. I would just play the same level over and over again. I think it was Lyon. I just played the Lyon map over and over and over again, trying to do 900s in a tiny skate park. Yeah. So weird. So I find it really strange going to that game now after like so many realistic other games have been made, and I can't get off the skateboard and run up a set of steps. I find that really weird. And the physics just breaks in that game, Tony Hawk Pro Skater. You can grind uphill, like you can go up, you can ride uphill and grind uphill, and not like you don't push. I don't think there's a push mechanic in that game. It's very strange to me. Thanks, Brandon. Brandon says like and share, everyone. Brandon says there have recently been EDM raves like that in the parking lots. Brandon, did you see? Maybe you sent me the footage. Brandon sent me footage of the H2O thing in Ocean City. It looked like the set of Fast and the Furious in real life. It's really hard for Hollywood and Netflix to compete with real life this year, ladies and gentlemen. Stephanie says the stress eyebrows are in the middle between the eyebrows. Yeah, I think that's a good call. This stuff? Is that what we're talking about? I should really get a reference. I've been telling people that it's really good to have a reference when you're drawing, and I have a gigantic reference folder of just random images. Ooh, look at this guy. Guess who this is? Oh, it's Pat Mac. Pat McNamara, right? Oh, that guy's a beast. Why didn't I think of using him before? Former Green Beret, right? Guy is one of the hardest dudes on the planet. My man. I would love to take a class with him someday. Here he is, like doing some boxing stuff. Look at this. Yeah, this is the guy I want to reference. He looks tough, 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 tough. All right, so he's got a nice crease in the middle of his forehead. He's got a very angular, like double crease thing. Let's try to take a little bit of Pat and put him in this. And this is something I think is a really good tip for artists who are, oh, here's a good reference. Here he is just talking about railroads. Ooh, look at that weird funky crease in his face. Let's get that little detail there. He's getting a little Chris Pratt style eyebrow raise. Special Forces, Pat Mac, I'm pretty sure. All right, let's get him. Let's remember a couple of those little details. He has like a Z shape. It's asymmetrical kind of crease there. And then there's like a shadow part here. That's the guy. That's the guy I want to draw on here. See, just a little bit of detail like that kind of helps a little bit. Let's tighten that down. Let's darken this down just a little bit. Let's give a little bit of highlight to these eyes. A little more contrast here. What a fun podcast. Thanks so much for hanging out, everybody, today. This is a lot of fun. A lot of fun. What y'all going to be doing with your weekend? The weather's pretty good here, huh? Central Mid-Atlantic region. It's like 68 degrees where I am, breezy. I threw out a ton of junk last night. I think I had 6 pairs of old shoes. I was just hoarding like a pack rat. Some really old, cool skater shoes, by the way. Some like really old Vans I had. I couldn't part with because the colors were awesome. They were like red and yellow and black and real bright with some red shoelaces. And they were so fun. I just couldn't throw them out, but they had holes. Thinking about buying some Nike stock, ladies and gentlemen. Nike is up 200% since March. And you know, I'm a fan of Air Jordans, and I don't know why I didn't think about picking up sneakers before. Athleisure wear, talking to my man Steve Eggery, doing the research, Lululemon and Nike are through the roof this year because people are just hanging out in their comfy yoga pants. Tell me why Lululemon pants cost $120, and I'll give you a special shout out and a 15-minute drawing I'll email directly to you if I like your answer. If I like your answer. Would you pay $120 for a pair of Lululemon, Stephanie Murdoch? I'm like, no, I can't skate with those. Can you? Do they make a skatable yoga pant? Is it tough enough? I think 511 makes tough yoga pant cut tactical pants for ladies. They have like reinforced knees and a reinforced butt. And like pockets you can put your magazines in. Tom, Brandon's asking one more plans for Saturday morning. I will get back to you on that. I'm having a guest for the next month, so I will not. Plans are up in the air. Plans are up in the air. We'll talk offline. Everyone say happy birthday to Brandon. His birthday was last week. 3-5. Happy belated birthday. That was a lot of fun. A lot of fun making some steaks. Got a grilled outside social distancing party. I made some ribeyes. Ooh, grade A prime rib. Prime, great. I don't know what it was. It was delicious. Shout out to Giants Meat Department. It's delicious. Got some prime 80-20% burger meat. It came out incredible. Dude, charcoal, that little Weber grill just has magic in it, man. I have dreams about that burger. We inhaled it. We inhaled our burgers. I think, if I could go back in time and redo COVID, I would just have my friend Talia started that whole art party thing. I would have done like regular art party online, and then like once a month do like a parking lot meetup where mask up, grill burgers, go eat like 10, 15 feet away, be outside daytime, and done it safe. Now that we know that COVID doesn't really transfer on surfaces, I don't know how we got that information in the first plot, because I don't know anyone. I mean, isn't that correct me if I'm wrong, but it doesn't seem like COVID transfers on surfaces anymore. It's water droplets in the air is what my understanding is. We could have been having so many more pressure release valves in society. I find art making is a bit of a pressure release valve for me, and that's why I do it. Okay, so we spend a lot of time zoomed in here. Let's step back and take a look at how does it correspond with everything. Well, suddenly my eye is going right to that character. He's now the most compelling thing on the screen. We have a character on the right who's a little bit sad, to say the least. And then the two guys in the middle, I've decided to cover up their faces because save time for one, but also to be more realistic, number two. In this future war scenario, most of the characters in this future war are going to be completely masked up. Armor, respirators, night vision goggles, thermals, digital overlays, that whole kind of thing. And I thought it would be fun to have this one guy's kind of got like a jack-o'-lantern, Cheshire cat, pumpkin grin type thing going on. So one of the challenges, it's kind of a trompe l'oeil thing to do a 3D looking drawing that has a drawing on it. So like a poster in a scene. So I'm trying to do some like nose art on this guy's face mask. But this is definitely a face mask that's going to have physical details in it over this night vision goggle assembly type thing. What do you guys think? What y'all think out there in the interwebs? What you doing with your days? Woo, we had a fun conversation yesterday. Whoever was hanging out, that was very interesting. I had a great time. Hopefully I didn't put my foot in my mouth too many times. I probably lost a few friends, but maybe maybe I didn't need to have so many friends. I think Facebook I had like 837 friends 2 days ago, and yesterday I had like 833 friends. And that's just the way it goes. I know in person everyone's going to be polite, but Facebook, I understand if you're trying to leave Facebook because you just can't handle the nonstop barrage of people's opinions. And I get it, dude. I absolutely get it. I get it. Take a break from this, that's fine. The good thing is we're all going to be around for a long time, and we can make friends. We can reconnect down the road when we've learned a lesson or two. I realized I was a huge jerk in my past. I could have handled so many encounters with people so much better and more polite, and I would have more friends and relations today and an easier time with business. But you don't know at the time. I heard a great thing on Rogan again last night. It was his interview with Bridget Phetasy, and there's an old saying that if you're not a, let me get this right. I'm bad at retelling stories. If you're not a liberal when you're young, you don't have a heart. But if you're not a conservative when you're old, you don't have a brain. I thought that was pretty funny. I thought that's kind of interesting. And I think it's interesting. It's an anecdote. It's a phrase. I mean, it offends both sides. For like the young Republicans get offended, and then the older liberals get offended. So, but it's just a saying. I don't put too much stock in it, but I think it's kind of interesting. I align with that. Like I think I cared about a lot of things when I was really, really young, and naively too. And I was terrible with money. And now I'm older, and I'm more concerned about money and my long-term health, and I'm starting to have more of these conservative kind of values. Sorry, we're talking about drawing. It's so easy to fall into freaking politics and philosophy and whatnot. And man, that is just such a trap. But if you didn't want to see some guy fall into a trap, you wouldn't tune into the Tomcast, because it's all about watching Tom fall on his face, kind of like those Japanese TV shows where someone's trying to run through a water park and the big foam noodle comes through and goes whap. It's hilarious. Ninja Warrior. What were we drinking today? You were drinking Red Bull. I bought a case to experiment with energy drinks. I got a lot done on Red Bull. I think Red Bull has caffeine content 80 milligrams. I heard coffee is like 150 and soda's like 55. I think I've found that. Oh, Sean says I'm working away on Ambush Alley, the next war. Yes. Sean says love the evil grin. Great. Love that Sean loves it. Tom says my wife Peggy has written brain cannon for the guy you're working on. Oh, awesome. Also, I think she has a crush. Well, he's very handsome. Sean says it spreads like flu, and flu spreads on surfaces. I didn't know that. I don't know how flu spreads. I just always get it. Like once I get it, I fight it off, and then I have a story about fighting off the flu. Now, of course, Sean in the audience here, we have our senior. Oh God, how do I say this without being offensive? Our more learned members of our audience who are more susceptible to the COVID-19. So I do have to be candorous towards them. I lost my train of thought, ladies and gentlemen. I forget what I was talking about. Oh, energy drinks. Couple symptoms of soda pop. One, I get the feeling I need to start pulling my whiskers from Diet Coke, Coke, Pepsi, Barks, Sprite. I get this thing. I start doing this when I've had traditional soda. I don't do it with coffee. I don't do it with coffee. I don't do it with Red Bull. I would just be yanking whiskers out after drinking soda. I don't know what that is. I think it creates anxiety. I don't know if it's the chemicals. So in my life right now, I'm experimenting with different like stimulants, like legal over-the-counter stimulants, if you will. Vitamin B is awesome. Vitamins, I feel great taking multivitamins, especially high vitamin B content. Vitamin D, I love it. I take a 10,000 IU supplement every 2 days or 5,000 every day. And usually a multivitamin has 200% your daily intake of vitamin D, which is just essential to life in positivity, I think. Red Bull does help me focus and makes me less. I'm having a good time on Red Bull, but I'm not as chatty as when I'm on coffee. Coffee, I can't stop talking. Drew says, lol. Sean says, just saying, I'm super old. Sean's super old. Actually, I don't know exactly how old you are. I just know you have a gray beard. And you've been doing this a while. I like the learned members of our community. The wise. But it's true. Like, I was super worried about my moms with this COVID thing. I'm like, Ma, stop going to church. Stop going to the market. Get everything delivered. Call my brother up. Have him drop off snacks. My mom's 81. Bless her heart. 81 years old. Had me when she was not expecting to have me. The story goes, ladies and gentlemen, my mom thought she had cancer, went to the doctor and found out she was pregnant. Found that story out like 2 years ago. I'm actually relieved. I'm actually relieved that people thought I was cancer. Like, what a relief. You think you have cancer because you're suddenly putting on body weight at age 44. And then you're like, oh no, you're having a son. What? So I just know that there's no expectations for me. The fact that I'm alive and breathing and have like 10 fingers and 10 toes is amazing. So for you two out there, it's amazing that you're here. It's amazing that you're alive. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being alive. Thanks for contributing to the Tomcast. Sean says the guarana in Red Bull makes me nauseous. And happy 58 years on the planet Earth, Mr. Sean. Guarana. Is that the bull hormone? The synthetic? That's taurine. I heard that was a German invention in the Zivor. It was like the 30s that they came up with the taurine. And the Führer was well about the taurine. Guaranine? I don't see it on the ingredients, but it doesn't mean it's not there. Big fan of the Red Bull. Big fan of the Red Bull because I did Red Bull Flugtag. I did 2 Red Bull art events, Art of Can Philadelphia, Art of Can DC. Both really fun. I got featured on a billboard. Thank you, Katie O'Connor, for helping get my Red Bull Choo Choo train on a billboard over 676 in Philadelphia. That was pretty cool. Got to go to a really fun party. Red Bull knows how to throw a fun party. They get skydivers. Stephanie probably remembers that. Red Bull Flugtag, 2006. They had skydivers come in. That was fun. What are we doing? Okay, let's do a little self-critique right now. What's the number one thing Tom does when he critiques, ladies and gentlemen? Flips the canvas. Let's take this and flip it horizontally. Edit, image rotation, horizontal. All right. What do we think? I think my man's PK machine gun is too short. I think that barrel needs to be a lot longer. I think the stock I need to change into something more high-tech, not just the wooden open hold stock. This guy's pose I think is interesting. It reminds me of Zero from Borderlands 3, like the sniper with the no face. This guy's starting to feel really human. This is starting to get fuzzy in the foreground. I've got to sharpen up the barrel down there. The feet in general are pretty weak compared to the K19 drawing. Like I spent a lot of time drawing Amber's foot here, and that came out pretty good. So I hate drawing feet. Who loves drawing feet? Feet are really hard. Feet are weird and hard, and unless you have a foot fetish, you don't study feet for the most part, or you're a podiatrist, or you work at Foot Locker, like the guy in Dave Chappelle's joke. I love Dave Chappelle. So let's go back to this. So this right now, we have the moment that the rest of the drawing has to come up to. So we have the face. This might be a little big. The proportions of this guy's head compared to his body remind me of that teacher I loved in college, Rich Lipsher. Hope you're doing well, Rich. Hope your Porsche Boxer is driving you all over the place. I might add a little bit more shoulder to this guy just to kind of broaden him up and compensate for that melon that he's carrying around above his rib cage. I can say that because I have a huge head. I have like a 7 7/8 size head. It's so hard to find fitted hats that fit. Hats in the Belfry, though. Shout out to Hats in the Belfry down in Baltimore. What was it, on Broadway? No, it's in Fells Point. But they had a nice little hat I could get that was sized appropriately. Got to go to those special hat stores. You should have seen the size of the helmet I had to wear playing football. Let's see what you all crazy people are saying out there. Sean says it's some kind of herb. Maybe they changed it. Barrel is a little short, unless it's maybe a para version. Do they do this for PKs? Yeah, there is a PK para version that has a fixed barrel. Feet are terrible. Sean says he has the same size head. Drew says Devin's got a big head too. This is why your mom loves me. I'm the lost O'Hara child because my head's so big. She's like, oh, you're one of my boys. You got a big head. You got a big head and tiny eyes like Dustin. Dude, I took a picture of me, Corinne, and Dustin one day and showed it to my ex-girlfriend, and she's like, stop it. Stop. That's uncomfortable. You can't have a twin brother you're not related to. It's a problem. My man. Thanks, Brandon, for sharing. Very, very cool. How are we doing here? 53 minutes. Let's do 7 more minutes. 7 more minutes. Oktoberfest, ladies and gentlemen. Shout out to Gunpowder Falls Brewing Company. If you are not too far away, this weekend, Gunpowder Falls, Martin is a great brewmaster. He brews authentic German beer. And the Märzen is fresh and delicious. Let me tell you, Gunpowder Falls Brewing Company, best thing you can put in your mouth if you're over 21 years old is a Märzen brewed by Martin. What do they have going on this weekend? I'll tell you, Oktoberfest with food outside off exit 4 on 83. Am I sponsored by them? No. In fact, a tent fell on me like 3 weeks ago when I was out there. The wind got really bad. Tent collapsed. I'm drinking my beer. Didn't spill a drop. Just tent pole, boom, on my shoulder. Sipping like it's no problem because the Dunkel is delicious. let me tell you, if you're into German beer, it's the authentic, it's the real deal. They got food this weekend. Their ribs are outstanding, outstanding. Yeah, man. We're gonna wrap this up soon. I just want to give Martin another shout out because that beer is so good. We had the Märzen, didn't we, Brandon? And we liked it. How do you like it cold? What do you think? Did you fridge some of that? Brandon turned me on to the pumpkin beer, and that was delicious. Not by Gunpowder, but by Durkee's or something. What am I looking for? Gunpowder Falls. For you that hear Gunpowder Falls and aren't from Maryland, well, Gunpowder Falls is the river system that flows into the Loch Raven Reservoir and Pretty Boy reservoirs that support Baltimore drinking water. Baltimore, for the size of the city it is, has great drinking water. Also good shower water pressure, I might add. Baltimore water is pretty good. Only second, to New York City water, which is shockingly good. That Lake George, New York City water is probably why the pizza is so good. Gunpowder Falls, authentic German. So it's this Saturday at 3 is the Oktoberfest weekend 2. And they're doing something with food. I'm sure they're doing something with food. If you missed the annual release of our Märzen last weekend, come on this weekend to have a glass or 2 or 3 and enjoy a traditional Schweinsbraten, crispy pork roast, in our dunkel beer sauce with Blaukraut, which is braised red cabbage, and Knödel, German potato dumplings. Oh, that sounds good. Dress in your dirndl or lederhosen and get 10% off your purchase. In Cincy's Oktoberfest, all draft beers are just $5 this weekend. Oh, what a deal. What a deal. See, I'm practicing my ad voice in case I ever get sponsored. So I'll let you know how things are going. Yeah, man, I am live right now. Wait, how did you not realize we're live? We're talking, whatever. Let's go. Let's Sean says Hats in the Belfry is where I got my last fedora, but you're not in Baltimore. Is there Hats in the Belfry out in middle of the country? Savannah says ribs, say no more. Come on up, bring the family. I don't know if they have ribs this weekend, but they had. I love ribs. It's expensive. It's definitely a luxury item. 3 more minutes. You guys got any questions? Feel free to chime in. Let me know what you're thinking about right now. Is this good, El? Are you still tuned in? You eating your sandwich? El, you're supposed to cook food for me. El, what's going on? When's the barbecue happening? What's the barbecue? Happy belated Yom Kippur, Rosh Hashanah, all that for your wife and family. You had a Jewish New Year kind of thing. I hope that went well for you guys. Hoping to catch up again when things kind of chill out. So what am I thinking about? I'm thinking we got to do the feet. We got to fix the barrel on the PK. We got to fix the stock on the PK. I'm not thrilled about this whole assembly. It might be interesting to take the exoskeleton arm and lock in to the stock on the PK here. That could be kind of cool. I might just kind of brainstorm and revise a bit of this. Barrel needs to be longer. How can we lengthen the barrel? Well, we can just select and Control-C, Control-V, just copy paste. Just put a little bit of length on there. Put a little length on it. So one of the things I've discovered when drawing rifles and straight objects in Photoshop, it's very hard to do it on a diagonal. So I will rotate the canvas and check it. Let's merge that down. Let's hit the R button and rotate this guy around until we get the barrel lined up in a straight line. And then we can go horizontally and just paint over a little bit and stretch that out right now. What to do? Pretty cool. Got a muzzle brake on there. This would be a bipod foot here. Maybe diamond point it just a little bit. Diamond point it just a little bit like that. PK. Machine gun. And just remember, ladies and gentlemen, guns don't kill people. Russians kill people. I love the Russians. I got American flag, but I love my Russian friends. I'm just being silly. I'm joking. I'm joking. Maybe for another podcast, we'll talk about the Wagner Group. That'd be exciting. That'd be very, very exciting. Do Blackwater versus Wagner Group. Wagner Group. I know this is really serious stuff. I'm making light of a very serious subject matter. But you know, if you don't have dark comedy, what do we have? You know, gotta be able to make fun of stuff occasionally. That's feeling a little bit better. That's feeling like a 20, 30 inch barrel, 20 something inch barrel. Before it was just too short. So that's feeling a little bit better. I believe that rotate in Photoshop is non-destructive now. So we're not changing the actual pixels. You know, usually when you rotate an image, it's doing some kind of damage to the integrity of the image. It's going to be like reassigning stuff. So, but Photoshop allows you to rotate, paint the pixels down, and remember where they're all at, I think. Savannah just said we just got a smoker and a grill, so we're ready to go for fall. Excellent. 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 Okay, we're an hour and a minute. I am parched. This was fun. I hope you guys had a good time paying attention. And I think Red Bull for the win, for the level of stimulation that Tom needs to get through the stream in a coherent manner. Yesterday, if you were part of that stream, it was all coffee, Tom. The light roast from Salbles is packed with caffeine. That was like 300 milligrams of caffeine, and I could not string two thoughts together. So today felt a lot better, ladies and gentlemen. All right, thank you so much for hanging out. This was really fun. I'm going to thank you to all you. Brandon, Savannah, Drew, Devin. We got Sean, L, Stephanie. Really thrilled to have Stephanie on the Tomcast today. And did I miss anybody? I think that's probably it. Who liked the podcast today? I'll try to send you guys. Can I see the likes? Is there a way to see the likes in Facebook? I don't know. It's very confusing. It's very confusing. We had 4 people watching. We got 1 like from Michael C. Hammers. It's pretty cool. Thanks, Michael. I don't know who Michael C. Hammers is. Maybe that's an acronym for someone else, but or a name or something like that. Not really sure. Oh, that's on Brandon's link. That's one of Brandon's friends. Very cool. And Kristen liked the broadcast. Thanks, Kristen. Glad to hear from you. Hope you enjoyed the stream. Hope you and the family are well. Miss you and Brian and your wonderful Oktoberfest party that you guys used to throw back in the day. Happy Oktoberfest, everybody. Have a great weekend. I'll probably check in with you again next week. Do you like Thursdays, Wednesdays? Send me a private message. What day, what time? Today was the stream for L, the 1 o'clock stream for him because that worked for him. And maybe, you know, I'll pick one of y'all and do a stream for you in the future. Love you all. Thank you so much. Have a great day.